Hello angels, I hope you are feeling the fantasy today because we are doing stage makeup, yes! After some priming, we're going to moisturize our face with the highly moisturizing e.l.f. foundation stick in the color Ivory. And then I'm going to use this nice oval brush to blend that out. This is my very first time using an oval brush, but I quite like it because it gets the makeup on very, very quickly. Not necessarily completely even. However, when you're doing stage makeup, you gotta be really, really quick about it. So in this tutorial, we're gonna show you some quick tips. For example, when you're putting on this Lumi foundation, this is a liquid foundation, I literally just rub it in with my fingers. This is going to save us a lot of time. However, if you have the time, go ahead and use a beauty blender. By the way, this video was requested by the managing director of Lady Hoofers, Philadelphia's premier all-female tap company. This tutorial is for you girls. And one thing you should all know is that setting powder goes a long way. Use more of it than you think you need to. And then take any brown that you have. This palette is $10 at the Walmart, honey. Yes. And you're going to draw on some eyebrows. Now, you probably already have some eyebrows on your face. Just fill them in a little bit more, or actually a lot of bit more. Feel free to overdraw, especially if you have light eyebrows. And the very next step is to take that same brown that you have, we're going to use this a lot in this tutorial, and you're going to sweep that right underneath the eye. Oh, and for our viewers who are not Lady Hoofers, I'm going to provide a link to ladyhoofers.org because they are fabulous. Check out the videos, check out the show dates, you won't regret it. And here's another trick you won't regret. What I'm doing here is I am sweeping a little little swoopity swoop right underneath that eye to make it bigger, to make that space a lot larger. So your eyelid will look twice as big as it actually is. And then I'm also sweeping a little bit on the outer corner as well. Now once more with that brown, the same brown, we are going to begin shaping a crease. Now, if you look at yourself in the mirror, you will see where your natural crease is. Go above that crease. We want it to be larger, more visible, but do not wait until you have an hour before the show to do this technique. What you want to do is practice at home. Make sure you understand your eye shape a little bit, and then you can perform with it. Yeah. What you're seeing me do a lot of is actually licking my brush. I know it sounds really, really gross. An alternative to this is just using a setting spray. But what it does is it wets the product, it makes it a lot more slick on the skin so it glides on smoothly, and the product is actually a lot more vibrant and pigmented this way. And what you do with that nice and wet product is to start creating a wing. Now this wing is going to be a lot larger and higher than you're probably used to. But bigger and higher is what dance is all about, so honey, go for it. And when you have a general outline of how you'd like things to look, begin starting to fill it in. I do not fill in the inner part as much as I do the outer section, because you want that outer, I don't know if you call it outer V and outer wing, I'm not sure. But you want that to be a little bit thicker so it's seen from the back seats. And here it is again, from a different angle, and it's a little bit sped up so you can see that. Look at that, nice. Okay, next we're going into our e.l.f. palette. This is a nice matte palette, very, very cheap. And using this nice warm color over here, and we're going to diffuse that brown or blend that brown up. I enjoy using nice circular motions, going back and forth but still circular, kind of like I'm brushing my teeth. And hopefully you're picking up in the video this nice warm color, kind of like a pinkish. We're actually going to add a little bit more pink to help brighten up that eye and make it look more human-like. So I'm taking this e.l.f. palette and I'm using the darkest pink that there is, and we are going to sweep at that color, that pigment, right onto where we put the brown. I concentrate on the outer corner, but depending on your role, feel free to place that pigment wherever you feel necessary. For example, I'm also placing it on the inner V area where you would normally put a very dark color. And what this is doing is actually adding dimension to the eye, so it looks like the eyelid is popping out and the pink is receding. Now this next step can be optional, but what I'm doing is taking a very nice shimmery sheer pigment, I'm spraying it with a setting spray, and then I am placing that all over the eyelid where I want that area to pop. This section will be what the audience will make out as the eyelid, so this can be much larger than your eye itself. You're also going to do this for your eyebrow highlight as well to make that pop and add dimension. Now, if the sheer and shimmer isn't working for you, you want something more bold, what you can do is actually add a white pigment instead of something shiny and shimmery. And this goes for the eyebrow highlight, but also the eyelid itself. Look at that huge color difference here. Look at that pop, it's great. And a quick little tip is that you can use that white and actually start shaping up the bottom of the lines that are a lot more harsher, or that you want to be more harsher. And why would you want harsh lines? Well, because people will see them a lot more clearly. Yet another quick tip is to take that white and make a nice strip down the middle of your nose. What this will do is bring forth the bridge of the nose outward. It'll make it pop so audiences will see that more. And then on either side, you're going to darken that area. And what that will do will whittle down your nose, but also make it seem like, hey, I actually have a nose. The lighting isn't going to wipe it out completely. My face won't be flat. Now use your own discretion whether or not you want to go with a very deep contour here or something very light. You should practice at home, figure out your nose shape a bit, make some effort in seeing how far the contour should go down, how wide it should be, so that your nose is ideal for the role in which you are supporting on stage. Yet another quick tip is to take that brown, the same brown we've been using from the get-go, and line the bottom of your lips. If you notice, you can take a couple seconds back and then fast forward, whatever you need to do, because this lip just got a lot bigger. And all we did was add a little bit of brown underneath. Once again, we are dipping into that brown, but we're going to use a nice condensed, but like really packed brush. And we're going to dip it into that brown and begin contouring our cheeks. I really recommend the brush like this because it is very, very quick and very easy to use. You do not have to be super precise, but if you notice, this is a pretty darn good line there. Check that out. Yes! And the next step is simply to add that color where it is needed. For example, you can do it underneath the jaw to make your jawline a lot smaller. Be wary of making this line too dark. You don't want to have a super dark color because the stark difference from the brown to the white to the brown is going to be very, very noticeable. So do a lot of blending in this process. You can also taper it around the forehead area so the forehead has a lot more dimension, it is popping out, and your hairline is receding. I know a receding hairline doesn't really sound so fancy, it probably isn't something you want, but for stage, this is almost a necessity because your forehead will get washed out very easily. And now for one of my favorite steps is to add blush. You don't want to add a super pigmented red blush because then that's the only thing people will see on stage. So go for nice warm peaches. You can even take a little bit of the red and a little bit of the peach together and mix them together and then apply to the cheeks. A lot of people make the mistake of adding these giant red, stark red patches of makeup on their skin, and this is very distracting. But of course, if you're playing a toy or a cartoon character or even like a doll, you can absolutely use that red to your advantage. If you're noticing, the peaches and the pinks kind of liven up the dark areas of your skin, making it seem a lot more human-like. So you can add a lot of that blush all over the face. Now this next step is going to be the most scariest, most daunting part of the process. And what you have to do is take a black liquid liner, or if you have it in a paint pot, that works just as fine, that's what I'm using. And you're going to dip into that product and you're going to start lining your eyes. Now this does not have to be perfect because you're on stage. So it doesn't have to be a precise, skinny, tiny little line. In fact, a nice, large, bold black line is actually ideal. Alright, so I'm going to fast forward this section. You just want to get all that product on the eye, but I'm going to slow down once I reach the wing. Now the wing's shape will take different strokes and will take different kinds of skill and practice depending on what kind of style you're going for. But no matter what style you are doing, it is key that you just take your time. Oftentimes this is the section or the part of the makeup that will take the longest. But once you have a general outline of the wing, what you want to do is actually bring that product right into the crease that we created earlier. And you're going to use a really, really tiny brush and sketch out that crease. What you want is an even bolder, darker, more stark line so your audience from all the way from the back row will be able to pick up that juxtaposition in color, that change in color. And then your next step is to do the exact same thing with the bottom section. Notice how when I used the brown, I was kind of messy. I wasn't very precise. You want to be a little bit more precise with the black. It doesn't have to be perfect because again, you are plenty of feet away from the crowd. However, you do want to make more emphasis on that opening to the left and to the right. You're going to open up the inside corner and open up just a bit the outside corner as well. If you found you made a little bit of an error here and there, you don't like what you did, you went a little bit too far, just use that white makeup, it'll mute out the black. And now I'm adding a bit more white to make that outer V even wider. Now this next trick is key for the stage. If you want your eyeball, the actual white of the eyeball to be larger, what you need to do is add a pencil liner in white, maybe even a beige, but for the stage I would say white, and tight line that bottom waterline to the best of your ability. Any pink that you see there, try your best to make it white, and this will blend in to the whites of your eyes. And what I'm doing here is I'm setting it with that same white powder from earlier, that white eyeshadow. And finally, we can start wrapping up. We're gonna end with our lips. I'm taking a red pencil, and it's kind of key to start outlining your lips first to get an emphasis or at least a shape on the outsides of the lips so you can fill it in. What the pencil is doing here is creating a border, so the audience is really going to see the border and then everything inside of it. And when you have something nice and stark in comparison to the thing next to it, it stands out. So from the beige that you have, or whatever color you are, to that bold red, it's going to be very, very visible for your audience. And then you can fill in the middle with any lighter red color, because what the audience will really see is that nice stark line of the red that we have already created. Now this last step is optional for you, but for me it is a must. I will coat my eyelashes in mascara as per usual, and then I will begin applying some false lashes. What this does is add a lot of drama to the eyes. Every time you bat your eyes, the audience will see it and it'll be beautiful and awesome, but the problem is they're really difficult to apply. It's not easy. So take your time with this. It's okay if you mess up. It'll look flawless in the end. And once you're done, just add more layers of mascara to blend those eyelashes together, the false ones, and then yours as well. And then once you're done with that step, you are complete. Play around with your hair, put it in a bun, mess it all up, do what you need to do for your role, and be fierce. For all of the wonderful, lovely Lady Hoofers, please use this tutorial to the best of your ability. You can steal a couple tricks here and there if that's what's necessary for you. But it all boils down to being as fierce as you possibly can be. For my wonderful angels and YouTube family, visit ladyhoofers.org, and if you are in the area, why not attend the Come Together Dance Festival, Sunday, August 20th, 7 p.m. at the Suzanne Roberts Theater. But for now, bye-bye, angels! Mwah!